So I'm back to pick some more brains, people who are sitting on the dais right now. So I'll ask certain questions and let's see. So basically, we'll focus today on innovations, quality, regulations in the nutraceutical industry. So I'll not waste too much of time. I'll start by asking questions. So start with Akshat, you. So what are you seeing as the most exciting trends in the nutraceutical industry right now?
See, right now, my answer would be a little different. I think that the most exciting trends are yet to come. And the reason why I say that is because I think the nutraceutical industry for too long has focused on micronutrient deficiencies. So we are always talking about how we don't have enough vitamins, how we don't have enough minerals, calcium, iron, etc., etc. But what we don't talk about more is the macronutrient mismatch, right? We don't talk about the fact that in India and the world over, you've got obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular issues. You've got malnutrition as well. And these are diseases, non communicable diseases, that frankly don't have any answer in the pharmaceutical industry. Even though I know that there are these weight loss pills that are coming now, I don't think they'll be very successful, but that's a separate conversation. So, my view is that the most exciting trend that should be there in the nutraceutical industry are foods that fix the excessive sugar and carbohydrate problem in all our diets. So if you look at our diets, whether they are the diets that we eat at home, the poha, the aloo ki sabji, the roti, paratha, or you look at the processed food, it's full of carbs, carbohydrates, right? Full of sugar, full of maltodextrin, right? We need foods that are very high in protein and we need foods that are very high in healthy fats. And the moment we get the low carb formula right, a lot of the non communicable diseases, which in my opinion are responsible for a lot of mortality out there, a lot of them will fix itself. And India, we already have, I think, the second highest number of diabetics in the world. Maybe after China, I think it's about 75 million. And malnutrition, obviously a third of our children are malnourished, and we make products already for malnutrition. So that's what I would say. I would say that the most exciting nutraceutical trend would be the ones that fix the macronutrient mismatch.
Okay. So you, as the CEO of Nuflower, where do you see yourself contributing to the development of the industry?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. That's a very, I would love to answer that question because that's what our strategy is based on. So, what we want to do in the next 5 years is get the macronutrient fix, right? So, we want to make processed snacks, healthy snacks from oil seeds like peanut, cashew, almond, from lentils, millets. We want to be a part of the millet mission that the Honorable Prime Minister is talking about. We want to use pulses. We want to use all of these plant based ingredients and we want to make processed foods out of them that go on to the snack bar, the breakfast table, and the doctor's desk, right? And we feel in doing so, we are going to be replacing a lot of what's already out there, which is basically carbohydrates and maltodextrin, if I were to put it in one line. So our entire product strategy going forward for the next 5 years is based on this promise that there is a serious problem of diabetes, obesity, and malnutrition, and we need healthy fats and healthy proteins to deal with it.
So considering the regulatory landscape which is currently, how are you navigating the challenges?
So that is definitely the key question. So what we try to do is, I think I mean, we're not navigating it extremely well, so hence the hesitancy on my part. What I was saying is that I think what we try to do is whenever we do something new, when it comes to the messaging of the product, we try to engage the FSSAI in extended conversations, and we usually land at a mutually desirable milestone where we can get a product through and the FSSAI is fine with it. Because when you look at the regulations in FSSAI, out of I think 14, 15 categories that they have in the latest notice that they took out, I think about 6, 7, 8 months back. All out of 15, I think 13 to 14 deal with generic categories. So they'll deal with oils, they'll deal with standard generic categories, flour, etc., etc. Only one category deals with very specialized nutrition, special foods for nutritional purposes, special foods for medical purposes. So I think the way we would do it is just to get into extended conversation, because we want to make sure the products that we do, they are different, they are unique, they are healthy, and they are actually solving the very real problem of non-communicable diseases.
Twist to my question, which I asked Sandeep, uh, consumer education and awareness. How will it play in nutraceutical innovations also?
Massive. So in our case, for example, we want to play a lot on the low carb message, low carbohydrate and why they are good for you. But I think in India, what tends to happen is, in India and in a lot of other places, Europe, all over the world, people do not, uh, people still think, let's say, fat makes you fat. Like if I talk to someone out there, in a mall or anywhere, people will think that ghee and butter is still somehow unhealthy for you, which is completely incorrect. Fat does not make you fat. Sugar and carbs do. Right. So I think consumer education has a big role, and we'll have to talk about things like insulin resistance. We'll have to talk about things like glycemic index, right? How if you have extremely simple carbs, sugar, maltodextrin in your product, the glucose in your blood spikes, and that causes extremely high spikes of insulin, which causes weight gain and insulin resistance, which is what diabetes is. So we'll have to talk to the consumer about this. We'll have to sort of break it up into digestible concepts and figure out a way to get the message across the consumer. But I would also say that if you look at Instagram and YouTube, if you look at the great work some of the nutritionists are doing now, and you look at a lot of the young folks out there, they actually already know all this, right? So you'd be surprised. I'm surprised sometimes when I talk to 25-year-olds. I'm a millennial. I'm a little older than that. So I'm surprised how well they know. But yes, some consumer education will have to go.
But we are still looking in terms of urban setups, right?
Yeah.
If we look at the rural India, which is huge, then how do you see consumer getting any kind of awareness or education for that
Hmm.
matter?
No, that's a very good question. I think then we'll have to adapt ourselves, right? So if in the urban setups, let's say we are talking about, if you're talking about middle classes, we might go to the malls. If you're talking about SEC C or D classes in the urban or the rural sector, we'll have to adapt ourselves. The language will have to change. The people who are doing the messaging will have to change, right? Because health is important. I think it was the country head of Bayer who said, health has to be a fundamental right for everyone, right? And I also think that the carbohydrate problem will be the most critical amongst the lower segments, because as a country we are very food secure. We are already able to make enough grains for ourselves. There's enough rice and wheat in India. What we don't have is protein security. We don't have is fat security. We import a lot of fats, edible oil, right? Palm oil from Malaysia, Indonesia, and we import a lot of protein pulses, right? And I'm not sure. So yes, I think we'll so we'll have to again break down these messages. Get to it's irrelevant where the consumer is from. We'll have to adapt ourselves to make sure we reach the right audience. So if I'm talking to X, I'll have a different way of reaching out to them. If I'm talking to Y, who comes from a different geography, I'll have a different way of reaching out to them. Does that answer?
One more question: drivers challenges for you as a startup or for any other startup?
Yeah, it's. I would say these challenges are the same that occur in every business. You need a lot of pain threshold, so you'll have a bad news almost every other week. If one fire, let's say in your supply chain, is fixed, then there'll be another fire in sales. If that is fixed, then there'll be another fire in quality and production. So my view would be, have a relentless mindset and have a very high pain threshold. Uh, yeah, and just never give up, right? Just have a very indomitable mindset about these things is what I, whenever someone asks me about setting up something of their own, that's what I would tell them.
Cool. Thanks so much.